Hey guys, it's the Everyday Aficionados with our first liqueur review for you. And today we have one that's pretty popular, pretty well known. This is Disaronno Originale. It's an amaretto, which is an Italian liqueur that is like flavored after almonds. And not always made using almonds, but it almost always has like an almond-like flavor.
This one's a little special. It's not actually made with almonds, correct?
Yeah, they mentioned on their website that anyone, even if you have nut allergies and stuff, can drink it, which is pretty cool. Anyway, it's been around since about 1900 when they started producing it. They actually have a really interesting history. They claim to have been around for a lot longer than that. The cap on the bottle says 1525 on it. They say that it was first invented when this pupil of Leonardo da Vinci was commissioned to make a painting in Saronno, Italy. And he needed to make a painting of the Virgin Mary. He found this like local widowed innkeeper to act as his model. She was like really beautiful and he fell in love with her or whatever. And as a gift for painting her, she steeped brandy with apricot kernels and then gave him the mixture because she was kind of poor and she couldn't afford to get him anything. So it was like a simple gesture of kindness and he loved it. It's a cute story.
Yeah,
Right?
I like that story. It's pretty cool.
No one really knows how true it is though. Disaronno doesn't even say amaretto on the bottle anymore. It just says Disaronno.
Well, no, it does on the back here. It says Amaretto liqueur in very,
Yeah.
very small font. But apparently they haven't been marketing it as Amaretto since like 2001. So
Yeah, they just market it as Disaronno. Originally, that means like of Saronno, so Amaretto di Saronno. This one is probably the most well-known amaretto on the market, probably the most popular too.
and one of the most expensive. This bottle is 750 ml, and it was $35, I think, like $34.99 or whatever.
So pretty expensive, especially considering the other amarettos out there like Luxardos are like 20 or below for the same size. So yeah, it's 28% alcohol by volume. It's made, as we said, not with almonds, but with apricot kernel oil, burnt sugar, and apparently 17 different herbs and spices. So it's a proprietary blend. They don't mention their base spirit. They say it's made with absolute alcohol. I don't know what that is. Maybe they still use brandy, as that's what the original story, the original recipe calls for. It's got a very unique bottle. They hired this master glass craftsman to actually design and produce this bottle. It's pretty cool. It's got like a textured glass.
I love the big square knob for the top of it. I don't know. I just think it looks kind of fancy.
Yeah, it's very fancy. It has like this gold glossy label on it. The bottle's like pinched in on the sides, which makes it a lot easier to hold it because it is such a big square bottle.
The only thing I can say though is that this bottle looks cool, but the bigger one that they make, it starts to get awkward as the bottle increases in size. Oh, and this, it says it's colored with caramel. Now, we don't know if it's actually colored with caramel because like some of the other amarettos that we've seen says caramel color added. So we don't know if they're just trying to play around with the words or if it actually has caramel in it.
Anyway, I don't know. The bottle doesn't really, I don't think it's that special or anything like that.
Yeah. Nothing too flashy, but it just kind of looks kind of fancy and it suffices.
What do you think about the aroma?
I definitely get a lot of cherries, like maraschino cherries. Maybe a little bit of caramel.
Yeah, I'm getting caramel too.
Very sweet smelling.
Very sweet. Almost like syrupy, kind of like a maple syrupy.
I don't want to go too far with the maple though. Maybe like I guess you would say like the generic syrups, like the Aunt Jemima ones, the ones that aren't real maple. So it's just kind of like that sugariness.
Yeah. I mean, I'm definitely smelling apricot.
Oh, yeah, big time. Now, herbal-wise, it says they mix 17 herbs, but it says herbs and fruit, so who knows how many of the 17 are fruit and how many of the 17 are herbs.
This definitely doesn't have an herbal characteristic to it. This is very fruity and sweet and kind of sugary smelling. But anyway, we're going to try it warm, and then we're going to try it on the rocks.
Cheers. Initially, I get like a kind of like a caramel coating over my tongue, and definitely like that like apricot cherry type fruitiness. More of the nose, really. A little bit of an alcohol bite, and not like a flavor so much as like slight warming, or not slight warming, a good warming, but like a slight burn.
For me, what stands out most is the mouthfeel and the body. It's very silky, really nice. It coats your tongue in a really good way, but it doesn't feel like overly syrupy or anything like that, which is nice.
Yeah, it's kind of like a watered down syrup. It like glosses over your tongue.
Like a candy coating or
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
I'm getting mostly cherry, almost, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but like a cherry cough syrup kind of, but like very pulled back and not gross.
Yes.
But definitely not just like your regular sweet cherry.
There may be hints of like an herbalness underneath, though. I do get a little bit towards the end.
You know what I'm getting? Mostly black cherry. That's what it is. It's not.
Yes.
Yeah, it's definitely black cherry. Like what you taste in like black cherry soda or something.
I let it sit on my tongue a little bit. I even do get like a little bit of a bitterness out of it.
Apparently, the name actually amaretto, the root word means bitter, so they are supposed to have a somewhat bitter quality to them, but mostly sweet.
We're gonna try it on the rocks, get the ice out. We'll be right back.
Okay, so we let it sit with the ice a little, dilute, get nice and cold.
Cheers.
It's a lot smoother. The alcohol isn't as harsh.
I think the alcohol almost disappears. There's like no burn to it anymore. It's way smooth. Still got that silky tongue coating mouthfeel.
It doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't coat as much. Like before, it really felt like a candy coating. Now it washes over your tongue a lot easier.
Yep.
The black cherry isn't as prominent. I'm getting more of the herbal characteristics underneath now. The bitterness is easier to detect.
I'm still getting a good amount of cherry though. It's still pretty sweet.
I don't get any of the cough syrupy kind of profile now. I would say it's definitely a lot easier to drink iced, but I don't know. It's not as warm for me either. It has more of like a cookie-ish, like a biscotti smell now too.
Yeah. It could almost come off as like a cherry flavored type biscotti cookie, you know. There's definitely more herbal with it iced though. A little bit more of a bitterness lingering on my tongue too.
So, as you guys can see, we have 2 empty glasses, which means 2 recommendations. There is a little bit of a side note on there. I really like this amaretto. It's a lot more full-bodied than most. Some amarettos tend to feel kind of cheap or phoned in, but this doesn't feel cheap at all. And of course, that's because it's not. It's got a really full-body, silky mouthfeel, packs a punch in terms of the flavor. There's nothing lacking there. I personally prefer it without ice because I just think it's a more pleasant drinking experience, although it's good both ways.
I definitely recommend this, but I'd say try it out if money isn't an obstacle. I haven't found an amaretto that I like as much as this one yet. I've only tried a couple others. I prefer it on the rocks just because I think it's a little bit smoother and it takes away the burn. I think it's a little bit too much for me when it's straight. Definitely satisfying. I don't think you can go wrong with this one. I spent $35 on it and I didn't regret a penny. So
yeah, although amaretto is one of those genres of liqueur where there's a ton of them and a ton of different brands and different companies making different versions. So it is definitely worth your while to experiment. Don't just stick with Disaronno forever because it's the most well-known amaretto. There are other ones out there that I've tried that I think are more appealing in certain ways. I wouldn't call them overall better, but they have different qualities to them which are nice. So even if you don't have a lot of money, you can really find a good amaretto. And most of them are a lot cheaper than Disaronno. So definitely experiment with this. But if you're just looking for really good amaretto, can't go wrong with Disaronno.
we'll definitely come back to this. We'll try to find an amaretto that maybe we recommend over Disaronno just based off of like prices and flavors and stuff like that. So we'll come back to amaretto for sure.
Keep an eye out for it. We'll see you next time. Everyday Aficionados.
Thanks for watching.